approach I call karma-based marketing, where you kind of try to give, and help people be better at their jobs, and hope that somehow that trickles back to you in good ways.
I love
So,
that karma-based marketing. That's awesome. What kind of a startup do you run? I run a karma-based startup, right? We do good shit, and then good shit happens to us as a
yep.
result. I love that. Well, that's very flattering, and I actually didn't pay Colin to say that. But I mean, it's as simple as that. The same really goes back, and it's a very similar thing. Yeah, I mean, we at Closer, we love to teach as a way to market and sell our software, and as a way to help our customers succeed. So we love to teach what we know. Um, and we've been customers of Customer.io for a very long time. I think we launched Closer in January 2013, and from the first week, we used you guys to do a lot of like onboarding email, automated email, used Customer.io to actually just inspire people to reply to us and turn themselves into our sales funnel. So we've been using you guys from our first moment and have been loving you guys, have been recommending you. And then I started seeing more and more of your content, and I couldn't believe how much I agree with everything you say. It also sounded like you guys are in a very similar place in the way that you want to run your business, the way you want to build it. So it was just obvious that we should do something together. And you guys are experts in email, and we like to do a lot of sales stuff, and we know a little bit about email. So it felt like that would be an awesome way to hopefully give people really cool content and teach them a lot of stuff. All
Great.
right. So with that being said, let's get started. let's
Yeah.
maybe get started with telling people why email in specific is why they should be using email to do sales. What's the background of that, and why email is such an effective tool if you use it correctly to do sales. I think that's kind of the way that the presentation gets
Yeah.
kicked off.
Yeah. So we'll jump into the slides then.
Yeah. Before I forgot, we say anything, let's start off with the main thesis of this webinar. If you only take one thing away, take away that you need to send more emails. You're not sending enough emails, not to your inbound signups and leads, not to the outbound campaigns that you do when you email somebody. All in all, it's probably true that all of you need to amp up your email game and send more emails if you really want to see results. And we're going to prove, hopefully, throughout the presentation by showing you examples and sharing best practices, why, if you only do one thing at the end of the webinar to make your business more successful, just double the amount of email that you send and see if that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially in an inbound setting where people are coming to you first, one of the things that we help our customers get over the fear of is sending emails. People are very concerned, and they only want to send one email, just a welcome email.
Welcome. Yeah.
But if you're selling software, when people sign up for your software, they come to you with a problem, and it's your obligation and responsibility to them to help them solve that problem. And sending emails that help them get to that goal is a good thing. That's not a bad thing you're doing to people who are signing up.
I think I
So
saw a really I don't want to share his name, but a really famous SaaS VC that has invested in a ton of really amazing SaaS businesses. Two of them that just recently IPO'd. I think one said, I don't know if he publicly said that or not, so that's why I'm not sharing it. But he said, if your customers don't think that you're spamming them, if some customers don't think you're spamming them, you're not sending enough email, right? So you want to be. Typically, I like to be at the point where some people might be a little annoyed. Some people feel like you should send them more emails, and the kind of big middle feels like they've heard enough of you to not forget you. They appreciate it, but they know, okay, I got it. You guys got in touch with me multiple times, and now I can make a decision. Do I want to actually like follow up on the reason why I signed up, or why I wanted a demo, or why I did a trial with you guys?
mm-hmm.
All right, let's look
Cool.
at the technology of email for sales. So email is a really fucking amazing technology, and it really made a big shift in the way that sales happened around the world. Remember, there was a time where salespeople and companies that did sales didn't have email, right? And the two big defining technologies that really made a dramatic difference in the way that things are being sold in the world, or more specifically, how salespeople do their job, is one was the telephone, right? The ability to actually not just go and knock on doors, but now you actually can reach somebody that's at the other end of the country. So you're not confined anymore by your territory. You can just expand your territory and talk to people that are not physically in close proximity. And then, so the phone was a big, big, leap forward. And the second massive leap forward was email. And email was awesome because for the first time, you could actually now, as a salesperson, communicate one to many, right? All of a sudden, you became a lot more scalable in your job. You could send an email to 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people, and you could communicate with your prospects asynchronously, right? So now you didn't have to have these conversations in real time all the time, which made a dramatic difference in how big your reach can be and how big your impact and your production can be. Obviously, email is being used a lot today and is good at certain areas more so than in others. One massive area in sales that people use email for a lot is lead generation, right? Getting in touch with somebody to find out who is the decision maker in the company, or getting in touch with somebody to schedule an appointment or a first call, or to have them fill out a survey or something. The first touch point, the way that you actually generate leads, that's for outbound. And in the inbound world, and Colin is an expert in that, it is actually using inbound emails, using emails to activate people, to make people actually take action on their initial intent. Like they came to you because they had a problem, and now they got busy, they got distracted, they forgot they signed up. And email is this amazing way to actually remind them, activate them, and help them to realize the value that they wanted when they first came to you. Email is awesome because you can actually schedule things, so you can actually make sure that the sales process overall is a lot more efficient. Email is this beautiful tool to actually follow up, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. But email is this, like, a lot of ways that you follow up are too intrusive to do indefinitely, right? So when you had a good meeting with somebody and you call them, you can't call them forever. If you actually decide to show up at somebody's office, you can't do that 100 times, not without getting arrested probably. But email is this beautiful way where I sent an investor once 48 follow-up emails after he replied to my original email and said he wanted to meet. I sent him an email and said, hey, can you do Tuesday or Wednesday? Didn't hear anything. Hey, can we meet next week? Didn't hear anything. I sent 48 emails. And then he finally replied and said, I'm so glad, Sally, you kept following up. I had to leave the country with this big crisis. Can you show up tomorrow at 1 p.m. at the office? Right? So email is this beautiful way where you have permission to follow up and send a lot of them, and people can decide when they don't want to actually reply to that. And some people like to actually use email a lot to negotiate the final stages of the deal, send contracts back and forth, discuss details on the LOI or whatever it is. So email is a super versatile tool that's going to help you, at the end of the day, close more deals, make more sales. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the next slide. What kind of emails? Maybe, Colin, you want to go through the different steps and all the different types of emails that people can send.
Yeah, so everyone sends personal emails to family, to friends, to people in the office. What we do really well, why people use our product, is primarily to send what we call triggered, what's traditionally called drip emails. There's so many names for this, but essentially the way Customer I/O works is we take in data, some action that someone's done, and we make it really easy to schedule emails to them based on that action. A lot of times these things are automated, but because they're driven by specific actions, they can feel really personal as well. They arrive in the person's inbox at the right time for them to be thinking about that. So if you think about their life cycle with your business, you can time specifically based on where they are in their life cycle. Another common variation of this type of email is an autoresponder, where it's literally someone fills in their email address into a sign-up form, and they get an email course, they get an ebook download, or a white paper. A lot of times, businesses will use that as a way to gather a lead, and they'll sort of trade you your contact information for an ebook. And then, oh, someone's reporting that they're hearing some feedback, a bit of echo.
Yeah, I actually don't get it at all. Funny enough, so I don't hear that. But it seems that it seems like a bunch of people actually do. And you have your headphones on, so guys, is it strong enough that it's hard to understand him, or is it just like super slightly or very very little?
No big deal.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
So we'll keep going on with that.
Cool. So sorry about that, guys. And so with autoresponders, the main thing there is that you're oftentimes you're trading your contact information, and they're going to have that company is going to have a salesperson follow up with you after you start that email course or download that ebook. And then newsletters are a common thing that many businesses do as a way to keep people engaged. We recommend that if you're starting a new business or starting a new company, before you have your product out there, have a newsletter where you're collecting an audience and educate them about that subject. And at the time that you launch and you have a product that's ready to solve their pain, then you have this built-in audience of people to sell to. So newsletters are a great way to do that. And I think that's probably I think there's more nuance in there, but that's a good overview of the world of email, especially in sales and marketing.
Awesome.
So one example from Steli is this is Close.io's email course that they've done. How did this work out for you guys?
Yeah. So before I answer that, I realized not everybody knows me here, and my name is being displayed as Kevin Romani. So I should actually highlight that Kevin is a guy on our team, and I'm just using his account to log in. So everywhere it says Kevin when I write something, but my name is actually Steli. All right. I just wanted to introduce myself correctly to everybody. I realized that in the chats. The course has been incredibly successful for us, and I got the idea to make this course from Patrick McKenzie. Some people might know him as Patio 11. A lot of people that are really knee deep into the SaaS world probably know his stuff and read it. For those of you that don't, you should. He has a really great course on creating kind of very effective email courses and using drip email really effectively to convert more people in your sales funnel. And what we've seen is that a lot of people that sign up for the course, we try to give. This is a karma-based email course, basically. So you give. We try to teach people as much as humanly possible about sales, give them as much content as possible on making them successful in sales, independently if they are customers, if they've signed up for a trial or not. And after we've given them a ton of value and we hopefully earned permission to pitch, we actually pitch them on the product, right? And we tell them, hey, if you're this kind of customer, you should check out Close.io, and here's why Close.io is going to make you more effective, more successful in sales. But we also in that email say, if you're not this kind of customer, if you are different in these specific ways, don't waste your time, don't trial it, it's not for you. But if you send me an email, I'll tell you what you should check out. And we get a ton of people converting into customers through the email course. But a lot of times people don't. I get a lot of emails from people that say, hey, I've identified myself as somebody that shouldn't buy your software based on what you said. What should I do? And then I go back and forth and try to help them finding something else. And a lot of times these people later on turn out to be sources of referrals. So people tell us, this person was so impressed by you guys that he told me I should check you guys out.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a pretty common tactic that a lot of times you can surprise someone when you recommend a different piece of software. You don't try to convince them to buy yours. Um, and yeah, I've seen that work really well at generating goodwill with those people who will then go and refer others back to you.
Awesome. Let's move on. I don't want to make this too much of a advertising for my course, but all of you, if you haven't signed up, sign up for it. All right, let's talk about the basics of sending out sales emails. Let's start with my favorite thing. I'll kick it off and I'll let Colin take over that, and that's the subject line. Having effective sales emails, sending effective emails in general, is not rocket science. There's a step-by-step process to this, and if you're aware of it, you can do a really great job and really dramatically improve the way that your results turn out to be. The very first thing somebody has to do when you send them an email, despite receive it, right? Let's just say you have the deliverability thing figured out today, then they have to open it. If your email wasn't open, it didn't exist. And people underestimate how big of a factor that is. If you send cold emails, for instance, cold emails or inbound or outbound emails, you'll never have 100% people open it. It most likely always going to be a very small percentage, maybe 30%, maybe 10%, maybe 40%, but it's going to be more likely than not a minority, not the majority of people. So the first thing you need to focus on and optimize on is the subject line. And I get so angry and so pissed how, like, every day I get somebody sending me their sales emails for feedback without including the subject line. And every time I have to go through the exercise of replying and saying, I cannot give you feedback. And they say, why? And I say, you didn't include the most important thing. What's your subject line? I don't know if I opened it. I don't want to read your email if I don't know what your subject line is. That is the thing. People think because the text of the email is so much more content, it's much more important. It's not. The subject line is the headline, is the thing that catches people. If they don't find that compelling, your email is dead in the water.
Yeah, absolutely. And I included a little bit from Stelli's from an email that I received from Stelli, and it has what's commonly called pre-header text as well. So a lot of email clients, Gmail's the example here, but Outlook does this as well. You have the subject line, plus you have the first line of the email. And here you can see it says how to respond to discount inquiries. That's the subject line. It's sort of promising that you're going to learn something about that, and hopefully the content inside delivers. And then the pre-header text says Startup Sales Negotiations 101. So it reinforces that this is what this content is about. So as a strategy, when you're thinking about the subject line, if it's short, you're going to have longer pre-header text, and you should make sure that that's going to look good in the inbox, and that's even more of a teaser for people to open it. But yeah, go ahead, Stelly. Do you want to talk through the rest of the points?
Yeah, that's actually a really awesome point. I'm glad that you brought that up and that you included that, because it's something, honestly, that I can still work on. I'm not even sure I'm super happy with the way this is turning out to be. I don't pay enough attention to that part, so I think that's really something that most people don't. So if you pay attention to it and you optimize for it, it can make a big difference. I think that one of the main thing, if there's nothing else that you take away on the subject line topic, if there's only one thing you take away from that, take away that you need to sound and read like a human being. Your message needs to read like one human that a human being sent this email to me specifically. If you can accomplish that, your chances of me wanting to open it are dramatically higher. Too many sales emails read like marketing newsletter emails. 101 ways Closar can help your sales sufficient funnel to increase. Like, I would never write Colin an email like that. He knows that. And then I capitalize every single word. That's not how human beings write emails to each other. So you want to sound like a human being. You want to no caps, no marketing speak. If you can, you want to make it personal, make it brief, maybe include Colin's name or Colin's company name. These things, and by the way, a disclaimer, anything we're going to teach you guys that works, and eventually it's not going to work anymore because people are going to start overusing it, right? So you constantly have to kind of optimize what you do and tweak it. I heard somebody just recently tell me they saw really great results in increases in open rates when they had a misspelling, or an error in the subject line. Just because, again, it made it seem like more of a human being wrote this to me than a machine or a marketing message. So anything you can do that makes it read like a human being wrote it is a good thing and will make a difference in your open rates.
Mhm.
If you can, you want to say something that will make me curious, right? Want to make me open it and read more, but you have to be careful not to promise things that you then don't deliver, right? Colin and I were chatting earlier today about this, and I told him about one of the most annoying but also most interesting emails I've ever gotten was somebody sending me an email, and the email started with the subject line, disappointed that, and that's it, right? It didn't continue. It's just disappointed that. And here's what happens. I open my email client and I have like a million emails and I zoom immediately into the word disappointed, right? Immediately, it got all my attention. I was like, my inner dialogue went, what did we fuck up, right? What did we mess up? What did we do wrong? And I click on it and the email continues. So the subject line said, disappointed that, and the email continued. We weren't able to connect yet, Stelly. I tried 3 times to call you. Well, what our web development firm is doing is, and I started laughing. I was like, motherfucker, you got me. And then I deleted the email, right? So a lot of times when people tell me what are evil hacks I can use to force people to open my email, I tell them, right, I mean, you can do a lot of crazy things to make people open your email, but if the promise of the subject line, if you don't deliver on the promise of the subject line, it's not going to be successful. You don't just want to have people open the email, you also want them to not feel tricked and feel like what you promised there, you actually deliver in the message.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Um, Now, people open the email. Now they have to read it, right? So, Colin, do you want to go through a couple of these points? Like, what does good content look like in an email to make people actually read through your content?
Yeah, and you so the first piece of structure here is is who is this? Who's writing me the email? And if we go back one page to the example here, you actually do what we recommend people do when sending B2B emails. Most people, I think more so in a marketing setting than a sales setting, but if you're sending marketing emails, knowing people probably associate the company more than they do your name. So people might know Steli FD, but think about other people on your team who might be reaching out to someone. Steli from Close.io, there's no mistake there that it's you, or that it's the company Close.io and you're writing on behalf of the company. So that's a really easy way to let people know who's writing to them. But if people have to read through the whole thing to figure out who is writing, that's a mistake. And that goes back to kind of like being brief, getting to the point quickly. So letting people know who you are, and why they should keep reading, why this email is going to be meaningful for them, and what can they get out of this email. And then I think you talk a lot about this, Steli, where you're talking about like the next steps, right? What should this person do in reaction to this email? And so yeah, so you've talked a bunch about CTAs before.
Yeah.
Why don't you
Yeah. I'll talk about this because it's something I'm super passionate about. So it's actually so. Two things that I want to say to this. One is that you should think of every sentence in your email pitching why somebody should read the next sentence, right? A lot of times people bury the best stuff at the end, but people never get to that, right? So every sentence in your email should explain to me, why should I carry on reading? And then when I arrive at the end of your email, you should give me one thing to do, one call to action. Just like with websites or applications, you don't want to have 100 calls to actions. It's the same basic thing in email. Sometimes I see emails and they're like, so can you tell me if you're the right person or not. If not, can you tell me who in your organization is the right person? If that person or you are interested, can you tell me when next week you would have time to talk to us? Can you then, maybe if that doesn't work for you, click on this link and fill out a form? And I've also attached 4 white papers and 3 presentations that I want you to look at, so you actually understand more about what we're doing. Fuck no, it's not what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete your email, right? Because you're asking me to do too much. Ask me for one thing that I can either say yes to or no to. One thing. Can we talk? Do you know who the right person is? Click on this link. One simple call to action. Eliminate decision making. Don't make me work. Don't make me think too much. Make this simple. Every sentence, I read your email and I go, who is this? All right, now that I know who this is, why is this person emailing me? Okay, now I know why. Why should I believe them? Right, now they told me why I should believe them. Right, what do I do now? Right, that's the way I think when I read, and that's the way that you need to tell me what to do next. So Bambi has a really good comment that I want to address real quick. Yes, we're recording the entire session, and you're going to be able to share this with your team, with your business partner, so everybody can see it. Colin and I are riff-raffing here, so we're probably, I'm going to have to speed up with some of these slides to make sure that we actually give you guys all the content and still some time to ask questions. But I want you guys, at any point, if you have a question, just put it in chat, and I promise you we'll get to it and we'll answer it eventually, all right? So let's go to the next slide. So this is really dear and near to my heart. Is there's one thing I preach every single day in my life. It's people need to follow up more and follow up harder and better. Before you send email, doesn't matter if it's inbound or outbound, before you think about emailing anyone about anything sales related, you need to consider what is going to be my follow-up strategy. You need to assume people will not reply to the first email. You need to assume that and have a strategy in place for that. When it comes to my personal follow-up strategy, that one is very, very simple. It's binary. It's either I get a yes or a no, and if I don't get one of these 2 things, I just keep on following up with you forever, ever and ever. I will never stop following up with you. That is only if we had a positive connection. A lot of times I say that, and people are like, you send cold emails and then you follow up forever? No, I don't, right? If I email you and you've never heard of me and you didn't ask for that email, I might follow up another 2-3 times, but I will follow up. But if we had a meeting, if we had a conversation and it was positive, and we said, let's talk again next week, or let's do this next step, and I send you an email and I don't hear from you, I'm not going to assume that you don't like me. I'm not going to assume you don't want this. I'm going to follow up until I get a yes or a no. Magic happens when you follow up and follow through. And the one reason why we love Custom.io is because it allows us to email people that sign up for a trial and are not active. It allows us to email them multiple times depending on things we know about the things they did or didn't do in Close.io. It allows us to email them in an automated fashion, follow up with them in an automated fashion, and still make it relevant and make it personal. So it comes from a human being, and we know a bit about the people, right? We know, did they actually set up their account in Close.io? Did they disappear immediately, or did they try the product for a couple of days and then disappear? And based on that, we can follow up with them in a different fashion.
So Stelly, there's a question about following up. Would you recommend people do it as a phone call or an additional email? Do you like switch the medium?
And that's an awesome question. Here's how I think about it. I like to follow up in email because it allows me to do it a lot, and I find it less intrusive. The only time I escalate to a new medium that's more immediate and you can't avoid is when there's urgency. So if I need to close this deal by the end of the month and I email you, I can't email you for 48 times, right? So I email you a couple of times, then I'll escalate to calling you. And if the calling doesn't work, if it's a deal that's big enough, I'll escalate to showing up in your office. I know I can only do this once, but if there's real urgency to it, I will do that. And if it's a big enough deal for me. If there's no urgency and it's not a massive thing, I will just follow up in email. That's my personal style. But some people like to mix and match, but you need to know that email you can do a lot, calling you can't call somebody 48 times. You can maybe call them like 3, 4 times, and even that is a stretch. And you can't show up like a ton of times. So you might just be able to show up once. So you need to use these things, these strategies carefully.
Yeah, and I mean, just a personal note, like the mentality of following up on things, I think is one of maybe a handful of really small things, or actually really big things, that separate good salespeople from bad salespeople. Because just following up is often enough to get the sale, right? Like
Fuck
just going
yes.
through that.
Fuck yes. I think there's this showing up is like half the win or something, or half the deal. Showing up is like 10%. Following up is 90. Like you can create outcomes nobody else is if you go where nobody else goes. And most people don't follow up carefully enough because they don't want to inconvenience people, because it's hard work, if you don't use cool tools, and most of all because people feel rejected eventually, and they tell themselves a story that may or may not be true. I'm not in the mind reading business. I'll follow up until you tell me to fuck off, and then I'll leave you alone, or until you tell me to do it. And every day I preach this, and every day there are more and more people coming back to me with stories of deals closed, rounds raised, and all because of the follow up. It's not rocket science. You just need to do it. All right, let's go to the
Cool.
next point.
So outbound sales emails.
So I'm gonna go through this really quickly. Oh, you can do that too. It's just a simple hack that I think more and more people are aware of how to get people's email addresses.
Yeah,
All right.
fantastic hack.
Yeah, so there are tools that you can pay money for, like SalesLoft and others, where you can go to people's LinkedIn profiles, and then the tool will give you the email address and the phone number and other information about people, even if we're not connected with them. But if you want to do this on the cheap, there's this tool called Reportive. I love it. I think many people have it. Eventually, they were bought by LinkedIn. Reportive is a little widget, a Chrome extension that when you're in your inbox and you email somebody, it loads this little box with like a picture, some contextual information. Who is this person? And here's their LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter stream or something like that. It's a cool tool by itself, and it was intended to make email better, more contextual, more social. But a cool, nice little way to reverse engineer and use the tool to actually do lead gen with it is that while you're typing in somebody's email address, Reportive is spinning and trying to see if they can find that email. And by now, Reportive has almost anyone's and everyone's email. So if you want to get in touch with Colin, let's say, and you don't know his email address, what you can do is you can go into your inbox with Reportive and type in colin@customer.io. And then the little Reportive wheel spins, and if it doesn't, it spins, and it says no results. That's not his email. So you try something else and you go, whatever, c@customer.io, or you try some other combination of his name. And usually within 3 or 4 combinations, the wheel of fortune of Reportive spins and it says, boom, here's Colin's profile. And then that's his email, right? That's a really easy way to do it. That takes a little bit of tweaking, but it's not as shitty as like buying large lists of names that usually, and email addresses like data.com or some others that usually are wrong.
Yeah, I can tell you, a lot of people don't use Reportive still because we get all the bounces that get sent to our domain.
Oh, yeah.
So they just make up combinations of first and last names and just send to that. I have no idea why, because it's free and it's easy, and it takes just a little extra effort.
Yeah. And Will said something cool about like LinkedIn, and now just shows the LinkedIn profile there and things like that. It really doesn't matter for the purpose of what we describe, because for the purpose of what we describe, all Reportive does is see, is there an email in our database? And since they have the LinkedIn database, that's pretty much like everyone's email. And it's always accurate because when people leave their business, they always update their LinkedIn profile. So it's a pretty fucking good tool to know if somebody's email address is there or not.
So yeah, just a quick note here. We're talking about cold emailing, but from time to time, people come to Customer.io and want to upload a list and email those people, and they don't have an existing relationship. That's not something you can do with our tool. But when we were starting the business, I definitely reached out to people to ask if they were interested in the product. So cold emailing is a way to to kind of get initial interest in what you're doing. And I think, Steli, I mean, how would you recommend people do cold emailing? I mean, I guess we're going to talk about that a little bit, but not
Yeah,
batch and blast.
yeah, no, for sure not. So here's what we do at Close.io. We use Close.io to do any kind of outbound email that we do, and we use Customer.io for all inbound emails. And that's honestly, honest to God truth, what we do. And you can use any kind of email, like you should use your own email client, and Close.io is not an email client. Close.io just fetches all emails that you send and puts them contextually on the lead page. But when you do cold email, don't overdo it. Don't send 10,000 cold emails at once, right? You're going to get into big trouble. If you use Gmail, for instance, they're going to stop your account. And then for like 3 or 4 weeks, you're not going to be able to send or receive any emails. If that doesn't sound like fun, don't send 10,000 emails at once. So the best way to do cold email is to do it in small batches, but consistently. So 25 emails a day or 50 emails a day, every single day. You send a bunch of emails, you see how many bounce, how many get delivered, how many get opened, how many get replied, and you tweak and you improve. And if you send 50 emails and all of them bounce, you know wherever you got those emails from, stop doing that, right? And it's much easier, it's much safer when 50 emails bounce than when you have 50,000 emails bounce. 50,000 emails bounce, you're fucked. Like you're going to get blacklisted, and it's very, very hard and painful to get off that list. And it's going to actually affect your business. So do it in small proportions. Do it usually from your own account. Close.io helps you do that better and more and things like that. But don't blast out thousands and tens of thousands of emails once when you do cold emails. Somebody asked the question, and in the chat about like Nick Persico, which Nick actually started doing sales in our company. He was working for Elastic Sales, so I know Nick really, really well. And we don't sell over email was a credo that we developed at Elastic Sales. That doesn't mean we don't use email to help us sell. There's a difference between we use email to help us sell a lot more versus we sell through email. And I think that that what Nick is talking about is that when you have somebody reply to your email, somebody shows interest and you're in your trial, in your inbound funnel, let's say somebody replies to our email and says, hey, I'm really interested in Close.io. I just signed up. It looks really awesome. I have these 4 questions. And why are you guys, priced this way? Can I get a discount? We're not going to reply with a massive email addressing all these things. We're going to just click to call them through Close.io and say, hey, I just got your email. I want to take a moment to actually respond to this. And the reason why we like to do that is because you can sell a lot more effective, especially when people have objections or really complex use cases, through a human-to-human conversation than actually through going back and forth on long emails. That's really what he was talking about. Some companies still like to do it and have some success with it. We like to use email to do lead generation. We like to do email to activate people and to get them to respond to us and either schedule a time to talk to us or ask us a question or give us some kind of a signal that allows us to start the conversation. Sometimes we will answer in an email, but sometimes when we can, we like to just call as a reply. We think it's worth it because you can sell more successfully when you actually talk to somebody versus when you just write to them. So I hope that helps and clarifies that. Let's talk a little bit about... Oh, go ahead, Colin.
Just a quick note. We've actually A/B tested this. We don't call it a sales conversation, but we talk about concierge onboarding, and I found that talking to people on the phone, answering their questions versus just doing it all over email, they ended up converting to a paying customer faster, and ended up picking a higher plan initially than. Usually people would kind of take a really long time to convert and then pick the cheapest plan possible just to get their feet wet, but they had more confidence is my hypothesis that that's what I think the outcome was with having that phone conversation.
Awesome.
Anyway, go ahead, Stella.
Yeah, let's talk about Cold Email 2.0. You guys are going to see me increasingly increase my intensity. That's because I want to make sure we go through all the content. So at the end, I'm going to be speed talking. So this slide is simple. For those of you who have not read Aaron Ross's book, Predictable Revenue, buy it and read it. It's like a $1, $2, or $3 Kindle book. Buy it and please read it. It's a really great book. Aaron is a good friend of mine. He innovated a thing when it comes to outbound email. It's very simple, but still somewhat effective, or still very effective in many cases, which is when you want to sell it to a specific person, instead of sending that person an email or cold calling that person, you go 1 or 2 levels above and you ask for a recommendation or referral down. So you go, hey, dear CEO, who is responsible for content marketing or email automation in your company? Can you please make a quick intro? I think I have something interesting. And then if you do it well enough, 20-30% of the time, the CEO will go either yes or no. When they go yes, it goes, yes, Stelly is responsible for this. And these intros always result into a call. They don't always result into closes, but you will know exactly who's responsible and you'll get a call to pitch them. And this was the way that Salesforce started scaling their outbound sales, specifically outbound sales when you do outbound sales for large organizations. So if you do cold outbound sales to startups, you can just call them. There's like 4 people in a room. Somebody's going to pick up the phone. But if you want to sell to some marketing person at IBM, there's no like picking up the phone and randomly calling. And there's probably not a good idea to randomly email. So this strategy is really, really successful. And if you want to know more about it, buy the book. It's really good. Let's go to the next slide.
Cool. So this is a cold email that I received that I believe is asking for that intro down the organization, but I wasn't crazy about this, and so let me see if I can remove. Oops, sorry, I've got the video covering my screen, so I can't quite read it.
Oh, you can't quite. Oh, we see it, but you don't see it because you have the video there.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read it?
With my mouse. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just read it for you. All right, so the subject line is hello from Adroll, and then it just says, hey, John and Colin, so it was sent to both of you guys. This is Matt from Adroll. Are you familiar with us? Question mark. We are leading blah, 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 provider of, whatever, and do you, asking, do you handle online marketing, customer acquisition for Customer IO? Are you the right person, founder of the business? Both co-founders of the business. Have you ever heard of something like marketing, and do you handle it? And then if so, I'd love to have 10 or 15 minutes to tell you all about why we're awesome. And if you're not the right person, please put me in touch with the right person.
So yeah, I mean, there's things like the hello from Adroll sounds kind of friendly, but other than that, I'm not crazy about this email, and there's a few reasons why. One, my co-founder John is our CTO. He's extremely busy. I'm annoyed that this person emailed both of us, that they're taking both of our time rather than just my time. Also, this is probably the 5th email that I've gotten from Adroll, so I'm definitely familiar with them by this time. And yeah, I mean, they don't demonstrate any knowledge of our business, right? It's that second paragraph, we're the leading this, and our service or our product would be of great benefit to Customer IO. Why do you think that? Why does Matt from Adroll believe they'll be of benefit to us? Nothing is kind of demonstrated there. I imagine he sent this to probably 10,000 companies and merged in first name and then merged in company name, and it's kind of like hoping for some people to reply. But so I reacted pretty negatively to this email and deleted. But I'd be curious, what do you think, Stelly? What's your take on it?
So what I love about talking about this email from your perspective, like, right, we're like experts teaching people what to do to get to customers, but then we are all also customers. We all get emails, and people try to sell us things. And I think it's a really good, healthy, and successful exercise to apply a little bit of empathy before you hit the send button and think, what would I think if I received this? How authentic, how honest, how careful, how caring, how would I like this? Would I actually think, yes, this is an awesome email, or not? A lot of times we're so focused on like, I need to sell, I need great open rates, great response rates, I need to make my startup successful. we're like me, that we write something with all the intentions that my results are good. We forget that we're sending this to people, and your results are going to be good if what you do is something people want and people like. So I love going through that exercise in this very webinar. Instead of just teaching how to send emails, teach like, this is the emails we hate when we receive them, because I think it's a really, really important thing. I think that I think this is a very standard, like,
Mhm.
cold calling 2.0, Aaron Ross email, ask for the decision maker, and nothing about it is wrong other than it was sent to the wrong people. And I think you never, ever, ever send something to two or more people at once. Right? I really, truly believe that's a really bad idea. One, you got annoyed because you're like, why are we wasting everybody's time? Um,
Mhm.
Two, my experience has been, even within teams, and I think all of you probably can attest to that. Have you ever done this? Have you ever sent an email to your entire team at, or whatever your email address is? You said, hey guys, I need all of you to tell me if you want us to go to this restaurant or that for lunch today. And nobody replied, right?
Yep.
Or, hey, here's this important thing. Can you quickly reply and tell me black or white? And nobody replies. You know why? Because you talk to multiple people. And whenever you talk to a crowd, many people in the crowd will be like, I know I'm also part of this, but I don't feel like he's talking to me directly, so let me wait for others to respond. That's always
Mhm.
what happens. So I've adopted the philosophy, even within our team, even when I'm in the room with the people looking at them when I send the email, that I'll send 4 individual emails if I actually want to reply. If I only want to inform people, I send an everybody, right? If somebody wants to say something, you can. But if I need an answer from every single person, I'll send every single person that email, right? And this, even more so, the same applies in sales. So it's a bad idea to send it to everybody. And you don't send a tell me who's the right person, is this you or somebody else email to a startup of, like, I don't know, like less than 10 or less than 20 people. It
Yeah.
just sounds wrong, because it's clearly demonstrating you don't know who you're talking to, right? So I
Mhm.
think that's really the problem with this email. Right.
Cool. Um,
What's the next
yeah.
one we
So,
have?
so
Oh yeah.
just a quick note on this, because I think there's a lot of confusion around what you can and can't do. At least in the United States, you do not need to. You're not doing anything wrong if you cold email someone, in the eyes of the law. So you don't need their permission to reach out to them. But the thing that you do need to do is give people a way to opt out. The easiest way in email marketing software is an unsubscribe link, but it doesn't actually have to be that. There just needs to be a process for them to do it, and it could be as simple as you saying, okay, I won't email you again, when they reply to you and say, please don't email me, if someone doesn't want to hear from you. And that's totally, I mean, it's a reasonable thing to do. I think most people want to do right by the people they're emailing, but yeah, you're certainly not doing anything illegal by contacting people out of the blue, but it's just a question of like mutual respect and you know stopping emailing them when they say stop.
Awesome. I love that. I love clarifying that, because anything in sales is really about you feeling comfortable in what you're doing. If you feel comfortable and confident, you do a good job. If you email people and you're constantly second guessing yourself, you're like, I don't want to be annoying. Is this illegal? Is this bad? You're not going to be a convincing person. If you're not comfortable, you're not going to be confident. That's going to translate in everything you do. So it's really important to know, hey, this is totally within your legal rights, and it's totally a normal thing to do in business. I want to go through 2 examples of inbound sales emails that 2 really successful companies use, one in the B2B world and one in the B2C world. And you'll see that the pattern of the emails they send are very, very similar. We're going to send you guys the video, and if you want to, we will send you guys the email templates if you want to actually use them as inspiration. But I'm going to go through them really quickly, so pay a lot of attention, all right? And if not, we'll record it, so you're going to be able to see this. So I signed up for HubSpot. HubSpot just IPO'd. It's a large marketing automation software company out there, right? So I signed up for a trial for HubSpot. I get this email. First email, subject line, closeout in HubSpot, time to chat. I'm not crazy about the subject line. I don't think HubSpot has their subject lines down. But it's okay. I get it. It's Closer. It's HubSpot. I know what this is. This is a kind of a welcome email. The text of the email is basically, hey, Sally, welcome to the trial. Here's a video if you want to watch a video to know what's up. And I'd love to talk to you. Do you want to talk to me? And because HubSpot sells typically to larger, mid-sized to large organizations, they attach like an ROI report because they know a lot of their people that sign up are only researching, so they need material to circulate internally. So I get that email, I ignore it. I get another email from them, right? The second email is actually saying, again, Closer on HubSpot. Kind of the good thing about this is I immediately know what it's about. And it has, instead of, hello, something, it says follow-up resources. And this is like, here's the email to give you more stuff so you can circulate and champion so you can, if you're researching this, give the right information to the right people. So this is a lot of like, here's the ROI report, companies see all these amazing results when they work with us, blah, 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 blah. Too wordy for me. I'm not typically their kind of customer, probably way too small, so I ignore it.
Had you had a conversation with them that says, thanks for the discussion today?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. I got a bunch of calls and voicemails, but I never had a conversation at that point. All right, so not perfectly optimal here, right? So I get the third email from them. Again, HubSpot and Closer, like this is not very creative. Again, I would give HubSpot like a C on the subject lines, but whatever, it's fine. I opened the email and it says now this is the sales email. Now this is the email where the sales rep says, hey, Stelly, blah, 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 we weren't able to chat yet, but did you know our prices are going to go up? And my manager gave me only 2 coupons, right? He printed them out and he walked down the stairs into our department and he cut them up and he gave me like 2 pieces of paper, right? And one of them I had already spoken for, already promised somebody else, but this other coupon, Stelly, that coupon I'd like to give you. All you have to do is, let me know if you're interested and I can give it to you, right? Now, to the sophisticated buyer, this seems like a huge pile of bullshit because it is. We all know this. But from a sales professional perspective, and from somebody that has done this himself and has seen tons of startups and companies do this shit works, right? I sometimes I wish it didn't, right? But it does. These like, this month we have the 10% discount. So if you make this month up your mind, you'll get it. Makes people move quicker. This month we have you buy the basic plan and you get the premium for 3 months free. These promotions, they work. That's why they exist. So this shit works. Not on me. I ignored the email. Here comes the next one. Right? And I really go quickly through this. So Colin, at any point, if you want to add something or riff raff on it, do it. But I know that we're about to run out of time and we have more slides than time. So I'll be quick. So the fourth email, that's actually a really cool one. That's the should I stay or should I go? That's a great subject line. And here she basically tells me, I tried so many times. I'm not getting anything from you. You either are not interested anymore or you've solved this problem and now she's being funny. Hey, you've fallen down the stairs and I need to call 911, let me know, right? That's kind of a cool email. I smiled when I read it and I ignored it. So here's the final email I got from them, right? Email number 5. And that email is in the professional sales email community, we call this email the breakup email. It's a very, very effective email. It's the thank you from HubSpot. There's actually a better way to phrase this. You could say goodbye from HubSpot. And in the subject line, she basically says, hey, I tried so many times. Since I haven't heard from you, I have to assume that you don't care about this anymore. I will take you off my list. You will never again hear from me. You can always get in touch with me, but I will not get in touch with you anymore. That's the email I responded to. Mm-hmm. And that's an email that gets a really high response rate in general.
Do you think the subject "Thank you from HubSpot" could also make you think, "Oh wait, did I put in my credit card? Did they automatically charge me?"
It's an interesting point. It might. It didn't do it for me. It didn't do it for me, but it might. In some cases, it could. I honestly looked at all these emails. In this specific case, I looked at all these emails from a professional interest point of view. I might have not opened it if it was a different service, but I was like, I like HubSpot. I'm curious what they write in their emails. I don't think thank you from HubSpot sounds a lot. I don't know why, but to me, it's like welcome to. It's like it's very early in our relationship because I know I'm not a customer. So I don't know. I didn't find that the subject line really good. And I'll show you another company sending the same email, but having a better subject line in it. So, but the crazy thing is I actually responded to this one. We're going to do another example. This is Trunk Club. This is a B2C company, right? I sign up for that because I'm a man. I don't like to shop, but I like to look good. And I thought maybe that's a good idea. So I get the first email. It's like a welcome. Hey, we should talk. I ignore that email, right? A very just generic email. I get a second email from them and it's like, hey, I'm your stylist. Really, when can we talk for 10 minutes and I'll make you look awesome? I ignore that email. I get a third email from them. And that email is hey, are you still interested? And this like a little bit, not funny, but a little bit like, hey, I've tried multiple times. Are you really still interested? I ignored that email. And then Trunklet sends me, just like HubSpot did, the breakup email. Their subject line is a lot better. It's goodbye. Goodbye is a stronger word than thank you, right? You also hear it much less, much more rarely, especially in the professional you signed up for something context. So I look at that email and she basically tells me, hey, I'm going to stop emailing you. And that's the email I replied to. And in this case, just like with HubSpot, it was an honest reply. It wasn't like, oh, this is the email I'm supposed to reply to. It was no, I'm actually interested. Don't take me off your list. This is you take something away from somebody and makes it really desirable. And this was I actually really want to look good. I just hate shopping and I didn't want to talk to somebody, but I kind of should. So yes. All right, let's talk, right? So this can be this is a super effective format. When somebody signs up for your trial, you want to welcome them. You might, depending on who your customer is, right? HubSpot, bigger customers, they send more research material and things like that because they know that's part of their buying cycle. Trunk Club, much more leaner. It's an end consumer product, which is like, welcome, I'm your stylist. When can we talk? Hey, goodbye, right? But super effective nonetheless.
Stelly, there's a question. What was the time frame for both of these series of emails, HubSpots and Trunk Clubs?
So it's a good question. Actually, I didn't write it down by day, but I have a sense for it because I looked at it a while back. So HubSpot sent all these emails, basically almost on a weekly basis. So once a week, I would get an email from HubSpot, and they do have a 30-day trial or whatever. Maybe a little longer, I'm not sure. Trunk Club was more compressed. I got those emails like a bit more. The welcome and the I'm your stylist was in 1 week, and then the hey, are you still interested, and goodbye was like in the other, or like within 3 weeks. So it was a much more compressed thing, and I'm sure that they tested and basically based on how long your trial is and based on how your buyers typically move, you want to send this email more compressed or less compressed.
Cool.
Yes, we're going to share the slides with you guys as well. Now, let's jump over the checklist because you're going to get the checklist and it actually includes everything that we mentioned or the most important things. So next time you whenever you talk about sales and email campaigns, you can go through the checklist and make sure you get your shit together. All right. Closer integration, very, very quickly. The way that most CRMs handle email is that you either BCC your CRM to get your emails into your CRM, or you forward things. Some are a bit tighter integrated, but what we like to do is we have a very, very tight integration, which means you can put in your SMTP and IMAP credentials, and then you can send your emails wherever you are from your normal client or through Close.io, and all email communication within the organization with a prospect or a customer or client will automatically be tracked and appears in a beautiful format in your timeline. You can search for it and it gives you all the context. That's one thing. The other thing is that we allow you to actually send emails out of Close.io. So when you're on a call in Close.io with a customer and you need to send them something, you can just have a template and hit the email button. You don't have to switch between different software. And by now we also have bulk emails, so you could in Close.io search, show me all people that have an active opportunity that I haven't talked to for 2 weeks. And where the last thing that happened was I sent them an email, but they never replied. it generates you a list of like people you need to follow up with, and you write one email and you send it to all of them, right? And it customizes it. So we love email, and we tightly integrate with it. And the things we are really weak at, which is the whole inbound email part of it. So not when a salesperson decides I need to reach out, but when actually you want to automate it. So when somebody comes to your funnel, they get kind of emails at different points. That's the part where we use awesome software, which is Customer.io.
Cool.
Awesome. Let's talk. Let's see if you guys have just a few more pressing questions. We're officially out of time, although we're right in the like 60-minute mark in terms of when we started.
So there was a question from Miha
Okay.
about using call scheduling software like Schedule Once, like putting that link into the emails that you're sending. I have my own experiences with that, but I'd be curious to hear what you've seen, Stelly.
I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on that. So it can be both good and bad. Yeah, honestly, I don't know exactly. So I don't know how I feel about this. That's the honest truth. I know that certain situations I thought it was annoying, and in other situations I thought it was helpful. Like this is scheduling software that has like multiple times that tells somebody select one of these times, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I would only use when somebody says, yes, I want to meet with you. When is a good time? Then I would be like, pick one of these times. I would never send this in a cold email. I would never send this in an automated email.
Yeah, so my experience with that, with our concierge onboarding, when we offer a new sign up the opportunity to take some of my time and talk to me about their integration, how things are going, and if they want any help from us. I initially tried to use scheduling software with that because I was like, oh man, how am I gonna organize all of these meetings, and I don't want to have like these long back and forths with people. But the response rates when I use these, like when the call to action in the email was click on this link and find a time that works for you, the response rates were crap, and people wouldn't respond to those emails. So I got rid of it, and I said, forget it. I'll just do it manually, and hopefully we can do this in like one back and forth, and not sort of like, what about Monday at 3? No, Thursday at 2. No, that doesn't work for me. Are you free Thursday at 8? Like it's just crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, this goes back. Yeah, but this is not surprising, and it goes back to the principle that applies to everything we shared today. Whatever works, but you need to test everything, right? And sometimes whenever, again, this seems like it's an issue of, it seems unhuman, right? Now I have to deal with the machine, and some people might feel like you're too important to just suggest a time. You like, I'm so important, here's the times that I can. So if you see that it's not working, then you need to change what you're doing. All right, guys, so we're running over time. I actually have a really hard deadline, so I'm already late to the next thing I have to jump to.
Oh,
But here's what we're gonna do. This hopefully, I know that there was one more question. I'll address that, and we can talk about this really briefly before we end the webinar today. But hopefully, this was just the first of many to come. I definitely know I want to do more with you, Colin.
cool.
And if you guys love it, just shoot us an email, either it's Stelly@Closio or I don't know your email by memory. Colin at Customer.io. Whoever told you about this webinar, email that person, which should be either me or Colin, and tell us if you liked it. Tell us what was missing and what you want. And if you have a question that we weren't able to address in this webinar, send us an email, and we will individually or together, right? And all of you will get an email from us with a recording and with the slide deck. And on that email, you can just reply. We're both going to be on it, and you can just reply and ask us the question if we weren't able to address it today. There was one, there are actually two more questions, and I want to answer them before we go. One is about like integrations of both our services. Honestly, I will follow up with you, Will, and we can talk about that, because I'd love to hear what exactly you would want to have as a customer of both services. I personally, because the way we've set it up, it's pretty tightly integrated, because all automated emails that go through Customer.io show up in Close.io in our basic product. So we don't have a need for more integration ourselves, but I'd love to understand more of what you would want us to do to make us more useful to you. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, likewise.
And then maybe maybe Matt, you're going to be the lucky last one that we're going to answer the question with, which is like, as a solo founder, is it a good idea to outsource sales, and if so, what's the best way to achieve this? So here comes the answer from a guy that ran the biggest outsourcing sales service for startups, right? The answer is, once you know what you're doing and you can create predictable and repeatable results, you might want to outsource it. Before that, it's not the right time, right? If you don't know how to generate results that work with sales or with lead gen or with whatever, you cannot give that responsibility to somebody else. They are going to fail, but they're going to take your money anyways. So that's my opinion on that. And if you want to know more about it, shoot me an email at stelly@closeout, and I'll consult you, knowing all the dirty secrets of outsourcing sales services. All right. So guys, this was a ton of fun. Colin, this was awesome. And I'm looking forward to more and more of these sessions. Send us emails with feedback,
Likewise.
with questions, and look forward to the videos.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.